Andy, I think I'm officially old. Like it is one of and look, I'm a creature of habit. My whole week is like kind of off now. I was just telling you pre-show, Andy, like yeah, I had to replace a household appliance this week, so I had to stay at home, work from my house. Yesterday, then my daughter then had a flat tire and she needed a car because she had to get to lacrosse, and so she had to take my wife and I had to disperse cars. So I had to work at home again on Tuesday. We have to be in the office 3 days a week. So now Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I've got to be in the office. Whereas normally I'm in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the office. I'm just like I can't handle it. I wake up now. I'm like, what is today? Like, where am I going? What am I doing? I think I'm just officially old. I mean, I like my routines, Andy.
You
So,
know what, Dave? I can feel all of that. I look forward to the day when we change this podcast to just being Grumpy Old Men, the podcast, because I
hmm.
think it's important. We'll just start, complaining about life, the aches and the pains, our routine not being what it's supposed to be, can't find our prunes, whatever else it is that comes up, you know what I mean, in the grumpy old man's life. So, hey, you're allowed to be frustrated by those things, Dave. It completely, I have my own shenanigans this week that I'll get into later that threw me off for quite a loop as well. But hey, while talking about tires and your daughter's car, I hope everything's okay there. But can I tell you, I've got a new tire cover coming my way, so I can be an even more obnoxious Detroit Lions fan. It's a combination U.S. flag, Detroit Lions logo. I can't wait to just further celebrate the glory that is the Detroit Lions going to this 2024 season.
What was it, a custom made one, or was this somebody is just they had someone and you saw it? What was the what?
I think it's one of those things. It's advertised and then printed, on order, so printed on demand. So it's I didn't design it, but I think it was, they make it once you order it because I don't think there's an overwhelming amount of people ordering USA Detroit Lions flag tire covers.
No.
Don't let that out. But I think we're a limited bunch that have ordered this tire cover.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you talk about tire covers. You're a man of many tattoos as well. Do you have a lion's tattoo? I know you
I,
have
I
American
don't. I
flag
don't.
on.
Yeah, I have not gone down that path. I actually have a design for it was sort of a combination sports logos and other. I always like to have, layers of meaning in my tattoos, and so I do have a design that sort of incorporates the Lions logo in kind of, but I'm not because you still don't know where things are going to go. I mean, if the Detroit Lions, let's say something crazy happens and they move to, wherever, right? The Oakland Lions, like, I'll have to have a personal conversation there because I can't cheer for the Oakland Lions. I mean, so when you
Yeah.
get a tattoo, you're making a commitment that goes beyond your fandom. You're really committing something bigger than that. And I'm confident the Lions will stay in Detroit. I'd be happy to wear those colors, but I haven't gone down that route as yet, Dave. As yet, I always love the guys every year that get the tattoo their team, and like the championship for that year, and they're like, I did it. And then one out of every 10,000 ends up getting right. And they're like, I knew it. I called it this year. The Browns win the Super Bowl. But then for every one that wins, there's like 9,999 that some stupid tattoo of their team in a championship that never happened. It's like, come on, bro, just let's not do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's always good. So are you excited, Andy, about the draft?
If I'm
Are
wearing
you
Lions
are you
colors every day this week, I'm wearing Lions colors every day this week in anticipation of the draft and the peak of off-season optimism for sports fans, right? This is the time of the year where, unless you're the Denver Broncos, you think, hey, this is going to be a great season for my team, and we're about to make a run. For Lions fans, the expectation is win the NFC and get to the Super Bowl. Like that's it. Like they have to do that this year. For other teams, they come out of the draft and they're like, hey, we've got the free agent players we wanted. We drafted well. There's going to be a big year. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the draft. I'm wearing Honolulu blue all week long and looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm not excited. I'm probably not even gonna watch. I mean, I might watch just for the first like five picks or something because I do want to see. I'm interested about this whole JJ McCarthy
Yeah.
rub. Like,
Yeah.
he's getting a lot of buzz, and I'm gonna tell you, like 5 years in, we won't even remember JJ McCarthy. The only thing that people will be able to remember is Harbaugh's 15-0 Michigan tattoo that he put on himself. I just don't see McCarthy being he's a backup. Like he's a backup quarterback. Like he'll come in and won't embarrass you, but he's also not going to be leading you to the Super Bowl. And I get it. People listen. I hear he's a winner, right? He's won every level he goes. He's played. You know who also was a winner? Trace McSorley, one of my favorite quarterbacks ever at Penn State. Won in high school, three national state championships. Was a big winner at Penn State, even though they never, were in the playoff or anything like that. He took them to pretty new heights. Guess what? He was in the NFL, a backup, and
Yeah.
now he's out. I think he's out of the NFL. I love Trace McSorley. There's always that Trace McSorley song. Go to YouTube and just write Trace McSorley song. It's great. You'll never regret it. But this is JJ McCarthy, and I'm just waiting for all these people who say he's great, he's wonderful. Jim Harbaugh thinks he's the best quarterback out there. Look, I mean, I'm sorry, like you will rue the day if you pick JJ. Like if you picked him in the third round, I'm all for it. Good. That's a good backup quarterback. You're picking him as your franchise quarterback because he's being talked about in the top 10. I just think it's crazy, Andy. I think it's crazy.
You know what, Dave? Jim Harbaugh's got to say that about his former quarterback who he won a national championship with. Otherwise, Jim Harbaugh would be trading their very fine quarterback to the Washington Commanders for that pick and drafting JJ McCarthy himself. But he knows that he's got a better chance to win with Justin Herbert than he does with JJ McCarthy. So pre-draft hype and excitement is always fun. There's a lot of we sometimes like to talk about misinformation, Dave. There's a lot of sports misinformation being leaked by GMs and scouts on purpose
Yeah.
to confuse everybody. So it's fun to see what happens. And hey, speaking of franchise quarterbacks, I don't know if you felt the earthquake yesterday, but Dave, Zach Wilson has joined the absolutely gold standard of quarterback locker rooms as the Denver Broncos move on from Russell Wilson to pick up Zach Wilson for their absolutely going nowhere season in 2024. What do you think about the big Zach Wilson trade to from the Jets to the Broncos?
I wonder if we can start dispelling some myths and stuff about like how great people are with certain. Look, Sean Payton, for all intents and purposes, is a great coach. He did wonderful things at New Orleans. Was great. He somehow even managed to have a good season last year at Denver. A good season, not a great season, but a good season. Dealing with a lot of ash and trash there. But I mean, Sean Payton also had Drew Brees, who was a great quarterback,
Yep.
and he was able to help. I mean, Drew Brees had a couple years where he wasn't doing so great in the beginning. Then he links up with Sean Payton in New Orleans. Perfect combination of a lot of great things, and they do really well. I don't doubt Sean Payton's a great coach. But this is a reach here. And I can't imagine what the conversation is. Maybe it's because they only have a first round pick and they may not get their quarterback and they just need to buy time for one more year. But this is what happens when waste your draft capital and you just throw away picks for, I mean, let's go back to that Russell Wilson trade. Not only did they pay him an exorbitant amount of money, but they gave away multiple picks, first round picks, second round picks, and they've got nothing to show for it. And they're sucking on that contract now still. And so you've got a lot of issues with that. And then you're bringing in Zach Wilson. And like, again, I'm like, is Sean Payton the quarterback whisperer, or was Drew Brees just really good? And
Yeah.
they both mix. Sean Payton might be a good coach, but he's not going to turn this guy around. I see a lot of these reclamation projects all the time, and they don't work. Look, Kyle Shanahan, great offensive coordinator, and he got Garoppolo, and he's got some other quarterbacks, and they made it to the NFC Championship game and to the Super Bowl, but like you still need that great quarterback, and I'm just not so sure, you know. Zach Wilson, the mother lover, is that person. I don't know. Interesting, but
Yeah, well, we'll see. I know we don't talk the whole thing on the NFL here today, but I'll say this. One, there's the old saying, you can't polish a turd. And I think that applies to NFL quarterbacks, right? No matter how much you shine, the guy's just not NFL starting material. You just can't make him an NFL starter, right? And you know, we were talking about dreamy George Clooney on the last episode. Dreamy Jimmy Garoppolo, best looking man in the NFL, just isn't a top tier NFL quarterback, no matter who his coach is. I don't think Zach Wilson was traded to be a starter. I think he's going to be fighting for a backup job. I think the Broncos will still draft somebody, or maybe they're hoping for some kind of late trade as other people draft somebody. But I thought it was a funny turn. As far as Russell Wilson, Dave, I'm going to go out there and say I think Russell Wilson will play well in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. I think he's going to do well. I still believe Russell Wilson is a talented quarterback. I don't think Denver was a good fit for him. Sean Payton did not treat him with any kind of respect, as we saw on the sideline. I think Russell Wilson's going to do okay in Pittsburgh, and I think him and Justin Fields will be a good 1-2 option for the Steelers, at least for a season or two here. So that's my prediction for that. Dave, I'm gonna stop talking football because I know we want to cover other things. But hey, good luck to the Broncos and Zach Wilson. Don't care about either one of them this next season, so that doesn't matter to me.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Look, as we try to reclaim our Trey Lance, like the Cowboys traded for Trey Lance last
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
and I don't even know, like I forgot he was even on the roster. Like, and yet we wasted, I know it wasn't a large amount of picks, but this is that, you know, I don't know. Okay, all right. Let's get the. Do we really trust McCarthy's going to develop, Trey Lance? Yeah, no, I don't think so. Okay, Andy, let's move on to other things. You mentioned earlier you had a kind of rough start this week, so you want to go through what happened this week with you?
Neither of us sleep a lot, right? And we both wake up early. We both do a lot of things. I typically get to bed sometime between 10:30 and 11:30. Like that's when I shut down. I'm up by 4:45. I'm moving and doing everything that I need to do. So I don't have a lot of sleep hours. So those hours that I get, they're meant to be good hours of sleep. And my Garmin tells me every day that I don't know how to sleep, reminds me and tells me that I slept poorly every single day. There's a sleep score of 0 to 100. I'm a solid 52 kind of guy, right? So I already don't sleep well. So I need every minute of sleep that I can get. So picture it, Dave, 2 in the morning, Tuesday morning, sound asleep in bed, happily cozy up in my blankets, and the house alarm goes off, right? And Dave, I'm still somewhat sensitive to my days in Afghanistan when I would wake up every night reacting to bombings and shootings at our base that we were at. I was an American with a handful of other Americans living with the Afghans in this downtown border province, and we would literally wake up every night with the walkie-talkie summoning me to our little command post, and so I'd frantically put on my clothes, and so I slept very lightly, and I've never overcome that. So the house alarm goes off, Dave. Maybe, I mean, I was almost as fast as the Flash, darting down, turning off the alarm, racing to the suspected, threat entrance, and being prepared with all of my adrenaline to murder the intruder. Right? I was ready. I was ready, David. I was hyped up. Right? There was no intruder. False alarm. Things calm down. Adrenaline goes down. Back upstairs. Dave, 30 seconds, I was out. I was back to sleep. I was okay. I was good. Right? I could handle it. 3 o'clock. Alarm goes off again.
Uh,
It's down, same drill, but now I can't get the alarm to turn off. Calling our security provider, talking with them. Now I'm awake. And so now
yeah.
I go back to try one more round of sleep. It's a struggle. I know I've actually got to get up for reals here in about an hour, completely wrecked. So essentially I got, a solid 3.5 hours of sleep, yesterday going into the day. And man, I was sore. And it's one of the things like, it's so hard to recover from that. So I was an unhappy Andy yesterday, Dave, going through my day. So thank you, security provider, for your faulty equipment. I really appreciate the early morning wake up. And they're so chill about it when you call them. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is what seems to be going on." It's like, hey, it's 2 in the morning. Like it's not supposed to be happening. But the rule is, security false alarms and fire alarms always go off at 2 in the morning because that's just, the big prank on all of us. So it was a fun day. It was a fun way to wake up and enjoy being up even darker and earlier than usual, Dave.
Yeah, no, those are the worst, right? I mean, you get up, and especially when you're so close to getting up anyways,
Mhm.
it's really hard to tone back down. Now, I can see the first one where you go back in and reset. You can go back to sleep real quickly, but then that second one, I would be the same thing. At
Yeah,
that point, I would have just given up, and
you're done. Yeah.
but I would have been super annoyed too. Like, what was the cause? Was a faulty sensor, or what was the?
Yeah, it was a sensor we had to replace that, there's no way to know it's going bad. It just does, right? It's like when your batteries, if you don't change your fire alarms proactively, right, the battery fire, then eventually there's going to go off and you have no idea that it's coming. So, now I'm conditioned to proactively changing the batteries of my fire alarms, on a regular basis. It's the same thing with these. You have no idea that this stuff's going bad. Eventually it goes bad and you're left with chirps and chimes and screaming alarms. And, just thank God I was home, right? I can only imagine if I wasn't home, how much more confusing that would be. But in any case, Dave, that was my Tuesday morning trauma. That's how we started Happy to Be Alive, Dave. That's how we started Happy to Be Alive Day yesterday.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's good. I certainly appreciate that. Andy, I want to transition to a little bit of politics, just news, real quick.
man.
One of the things that we did not cover, even though we mentioned, in the early stages of this, and again, this is, I guess, a couple months back, but the House impeachment of the Homeland Security Director, Mayorkas, um, it failed, Andy,
Yeah,
not surprisingly, but yet we went through this whole charade about trying to do all that. I just want to call out that again, we went through all this drill just for the Senate to squash it completely,
yeah.
and I
Which
just
was known, right? I mean, everybody knew that was going to happen, so it was a
yeah.
completely known telegraph punch. No surprise there.
Yeah, no surprise. So as I think about like this current scuttlebutt that we've got going on now between some of the hardline GOP people who are now calling, Speaker Johnson a traitor, and all the people on the floor traitors, and all this other stuff. We're now moving forward, or it does appear to be moving forward with there going to be a motion to vacate maybe for the speaker, Andy, and it's led by our favorite politician, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, again, this political theater, this it's like high comedy to see this continue to go through, and yet there's no, we talk about, like, in our other lives, we talk about security, and you need to be, situationally aware. You need to be always looking around you and taking into context outside events. This is clearly a house that has no, they don't do that, Andy. They,
Yeah,
they they don't do that. What should have been hailed as a great, a really good bill to provide funding to key foreign partners who are in the midst of key, activities. It's now turned into something completely different. So now we're talking about how motion to vacate. So where do you stand on this too, Andy?
yeah. So I mean, you use the term high comedy. I say high tragedy. Really, is where we are because this political theater. We sort of talk about it and we sort of we're conditioned to. And we sort of dismiss it, but it costs Americans a lot of time and money. I mean, we're paying for these clowns to do all this bullshit of non-productivity, right? So they're getting paid and paid well to go and put on this theater. Listen, I'm not going to pay the local acting community 150, 170K to go out there and perform their local acts, their local performance of Shakespeare, whatever it is. Similarly, I don't want to pay Congress people 170K to go out there and put on their political theater. It's absolute garbage, and it's the opportunity cost, right? We're putting on this political theater instead of doing actual work, and so we end up with bills that aren't what they're supposed to be. We talked about last time about why I appreciate the international funding aspect of this last bill. I didn't like the bundling of this last bill, and if Congress spent more time on good legislation and less time on scoring points on cable news and raising funds and the bazillion alerts I get by text and email from every color of the political rainbow, like just do your fucking jobs, right? And we don't get that. And that individual you spoke of from that southeastern state is a prime example of what goes wrong, right? Because Republicans, fan the flames of Marjorie Taylor Greene or Marjorie Taylor, whatever her name is these days, right? One I don't care to speak, to be honest. Dave, we've discussed this before, and they celebrated her antics, right? Her yelling at Joe Biden during the State of the Union, her fiery rhetoric, like it was celebrated and embraced, and she was given committee roles, right? And then they realized, oh, this was a bad move. Well, no shit. When you feed the beast, it's going to come back to bite you. The same thing that a lot of the evangelical community is finding now with Donald Trump. It's like, hey, you want to play with fire, and then you're shocked when Donald Trump says he's not for a nationwide abortion ban. Well, no kidding. Like that should have been obvious. That was never going to really be his position. It's never what he's believed or supported in the past. It's like, well, when you play with fire, you're going to get burned, and when you play with some of these characters, you're going to get exactly what you should think you're going to get. Not that you're going to change them in some radical way, because that never works out for you. And so it's just frustrating politics as always, Dave. And Congress sucks. Congress sucks. But I would take Zach Wilson as my quarterback over 99% of the clowns in Congress.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair, Andy. And I think you're right on. I don't want to belabor a lot of those points, but it just does show you. I mean, and then there's going to be some blame associated with when things don't work out their way with the House and the Senate votes this year.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen on the presidential vote. I have my beliefs, of course. I think we've said that well here, but but I do think they're going to come back and go, well, where did we go wrong? We did it, and they're going to choose the wrong thing, of course, Amy. And they're not going to look in the mirror and say, hey, we had an opportunity to govern here. We had an opportunity to show that we could pass real legislation. And we really didn't do it without all this drama. So, Andy, we probably need a nickname for MTG,
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. What do you think there? What's a good nickname we could use? Because it's hard to say that name out loud, Andy.
It is. It's hard. It makes me. It hurts me every time I do it. So, Dave, I did draft up a couple. I tried to be respectful, of sort of her origins, as a representative of the great state of Georgia. No issues with Georgia, right? A beautiful southeastern coastal state. Serves our military well. We enjoy many things from the state, but she's not necessarily the best representative, of America, or the good people of Georgia. But I try to respect her origins there. So I've come up with three nicknames. I don't know if they're going to resonate, but let me just throw them out at you. One, so Georgia state tree, the live oak. And so I thought perhaps the obnoxious oak, would work. She's sort
Mm.
of dense like a tree, very annoying. But want to give a hat tip to her state there, sort of staying in the same realm of acknowledging Georgia as her home state. I thought the unhinged peach sort of came out to me, sort of
Ah,
yeah. I mean, I was looking at rotten, but I felt like that wasn't the right term. It's not so much rotten; it's just absolutely unhinged, right? So the unhinged peach I'll throw out there, Dave. And then the last one, she likes the three-letter acronym. Again, I don't even think she's green anymore. I think she's divorced. I think it's really just Marjorie Taylor, but I think we just stick with the name because she likes she wants to be the Republican AOC, which she's not. Um, so I put down the questionably blonde hysteric QBH, because she's like a good quarterback. She's out there. I don't know that she's actually blonde. I always sort of, when I see her, I'm never quite sure if that's actually, there's a lot of things I'm not sure about when it comes to her. So I'll throw those three out there. I don't know if they resonate at all, but I just want to kind of put it out there. The obnoxious oak, the unhinged peach, the questionably blonde hysteric slash QBH. What do you think, Dave? Do any of those sit with you? Do we need to go back to the drawing board here?
I like them all, but I do think I'm leaning more towards the QBH, you know, questioning Bond hysterics. I
Yeah.
I I mean I kind of like that. I mean, she MTG QBH. Let's go
Right?
to QBH.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah. That was the
hey,
rationale.
we should put it to a vote, Andy. We should put it to a vote.
All right. I'll throw it out there later today. I'll put it out there, see if anybody wants to weigh in on it, give us some solid feedback.
Okay, all right, fair enough, fair enough. Andy, I know we're kind of wrapping up a little bit today, but I did want to call out, are you following any of this stuff with the Cybertruck, the Tesla Cybertruck?
The my favorite nickname for it so far is the Incel Camino, and yeah, I'm watching what's happening with the Incel Camino. I saw that nickname and I thought that was absolutely great. So yeah, the cyber brick, one might say. I mean, it's
Yep.
having issues every day. It's having issues. So yeah, I'm monitoring because it's part of my Tesla loathing. Every time I get in my car and I drive by a Tesla, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I'm 100% prejudiced with Teslas. Like I can't even hold it back. Like there's I know people that own Teslas that are absolutely great people, like no issues with them. But as far as like being absolutely prejudiced, when I see a Tesla, like my first assumption is, oh, you're probably a prick. I probably hate you, and that's just it's not right. It's not fair, but it's just my default setting, and I love driving by them and just thinking about how much I don't like them. So yeah, so paying attention to the incel Camino for sure. What do you want to bring up today?
No, I just find it interesting. I love the incel Camino. Is it a car? Is it a truck? What is it?
What
I
is it?
just don't I just don't know. I just don't understand. Like again, when I'm looking at this thing, how can you like self-respecting individual like the car like you've spoken about how you don't like the way the Teslas are designed, the way they look and all this. I get it, but at least they resemble somewhat of a car. This doesn't
They resemble my mom's 1989 Pontiac Le Mans. That's, I mean, look, that car wasn't a great looking car then. It's not a great looking car now. They based the Tesla off the Pontiac. I'm convinced that that was their model, just as a joke. It looks like like an egg. It's terrible. But sorry, that's not where you're going. I'm sorry, but I just threw that out there. It's a
no.
Pontiac.
No, this is great. This is great. This is great podcasting here, Andy. This is awesome. But I just don't understand how any self-respecting person would get into that. And can you imagine going, like, I went to the dump on Monday because I talked about cleaning out my garage and then taking stuff to the dump. Can you imagine loading up that and pulling it into the dump, with your Tesla Cybertruck? And it just, I just don't get it. And this is just where, with the hubris of people to say, yes, I know I'm going to throw this piece of shit out here and people are going to buy it because it says Tesla on it and they want to be cool and
Yeah,
trendy and stuff. This has got colossal fail. And look, people have been saying we're not bringing anything new to the table. This has been talked about for some time now, but yet people have talked themselves into it, and now that it's finally coming out, we're having issues with it already. I just it is amazing. I do love the technology, of course. I think a lot of this is great. And look, we're seeing things around the world. I think Andy, you shared with me a link about Japan is considering roadways and building infrastructure that allows for robot driven cars or self-driving cars that they can go through and just be on this kind of like the Jetsons. You kind of remember the old Jetsons episodes
yeah,
where they
oh yeah,
flying in the sky and you just flew around and all that stuff. And it does kind of make me think about like rail lines and stuff like that. Dedicated lines for dedicated things. So maybe like these robot trucks and tractor trailers, which we all hate getting behind on a two-lane road or trying to pass on a highway or something.
yeah,
You hate them when they're in the left lane. Maybe if we had these type of things where those type of trucks are on these self-driving highways,
yeah.
it could be really cool. But yeah, the Tesla truck, it's going to be a tough sell, Andy.
It is going to be a tough sell. I think people will buy them because they just want to show they have it. It's an ugly vehicle. I love the self-driving or the dedicated roads. Like that idea to me is a very smart idea. From a safety and efficiency standpoint, there's so many things I love about that. But the incel Camino I do not love, and it's just like if I saw one driving down the road, like I would just be like it's just so fucking ugly, David. It
Yeah.
looks it looks like somebody just like it looks like something I would have drawn up in math class, in seventh grade when I was zoning out and just sort of sketching in my notebooks as I would. And I wasn't great. I could draw superheroes really well. I couldn't draw cars really well. And it looks like something I would just sketch in my notebook. They're just these awkward straight lines, trying to make a sporty looking vehicle, but it kind of sucks. Like I can't believe like they actually like this design like this it's like it's just a big joke. It's like just hey, like will people actually buy this if we make it? And people are. So hey, if you are a Tesla fan, I apologize for my prejudice. If you are a Cybertruck fan, I apologize for your incel Camino. They're garbage. If you want an electric vehicle, hey, go buy a Ford Lightning. Go buy something cool. Go out there, and there's a lot of options that are out there for folks. But the incel Camino just isn't it for me, Dave. But again, back to the technology and the dedicated roads. Like I absolutely love that.
Well, very good, Andy. And I think that's probably a good way to wrap up for today. Uh, we'll come back on Friday. We got one more pod this week. We'll talk a little NFL draft recap, round one recap,
Yeah.
and let's see how excited you are. And I want to specifically see where JJ McCarthy goes and the sucker who buys into that. But but Andy, with all of that, I will catch up with you next time.